We know that the whole creation has been groaning, as in the pains of childbirth, right up to the present time. Not only so, but we ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for our adoptions as sons, the redemption of our bodies. We have in our gospel reading today an apt and appropriate follow-up to last week. Last week, if we talked about the parable of the sower, where the seeds of God's Word are scattered and strewn about, that there is no particular type of soil that seed is reserved for, but it's to be spread out to all the world. And some soil will be rocky, and some will have birds that come, and some will have thorns that choke, but some of that soil is good and will bear fruit again and again and again, 30, 60, 100-fold. So spread God's Word, who He is, what He's done. Don't do so with the expectation or necessity that you have it figured out. The Lord Himself has promised that His Word will not return to Him empty, but He will accomplish that which He has purposed. So you just spread the Word. Let the Spirit take care of the growing. And we have another sowing parable here. This time a field that has been sown so well, with seed so good and so pure, and yet now it is mixed and it is mingled and there are weeds in the field. What are you going to do? And I stand before you as an authority on the subject of weeds, knowing that about 90% of my yard is weed. I allow it to continue that way because at least it's green. It's been my hope to have a full and thick and luscious lawn, and it's on my to-do pile, which if you know anything about me, or if you've ever been to my desk in the office, my to-do pile gets bigger and bigger and bigger until I clear it off and move it somewhere else where I can't see it anymore, and I can start a new to-do pile. So the concept of sowing good seed in my own field has been a hope, but perhaps a vain one. Still hasn't happened, but like I said, at least it's green. Weeds, at least it's green. Down in South Florida, we actually took that step of having the nice St. Augustine Floratam sod put down. And you know, we dug everything up and had the sod cutter come in and just sort of level the ground, so it was nothing but bare, beautiful dirt. And all the pallets came in with all the sod that was laid in these checkerboarded patterns and all the water and everything else. And there's just something that's beautiful about a newly sodded lawn. And it makes you want to walk on it. It makes you want to sit on it. You want to have picnics. And frankly, I just want to roll around in the grass a little bit. It was pretty. It was nice. If you've lived in South Florida, you know there's a certain type of weed that no matter how nice and full and lush and thick your lawn is, with the hope that it's going to choke out anything that might grow, there's a particular type of weed that seems impossible to fight. I don't think we have it so much up here, but down there at least, you cannot fight the beggarweed. And the beggarweed grows. And I think it can grow for hundreds and hundreds of yards underground until it pops up where you least expect it. And it grows in these long, long runners. When you see someone, you go to pull it up. You find that it's not just a weed that goes into the ground, but it's connected to a whole series and network of weeds spreading all throughout your yard and perhaps your neighbor and the next neighbor over. And by the time you pulled up, you've created these ruts and these deep gouges in your yard just to have those root systems pulled up everywhere you go. So you can continually uproot your own grass, or you can just leave it alone. Treat it as best as possible, and know that the mower will take it all. Because before the mower, everything green comes to a prominence and on the ground. To have something good, to have something right and fitting and proper, and yet intermingled with weed. You can almost hear the frustration within the story. I want it out. Worked so hard to sow good seed. This should be a great and good harvest, and now it's messed up. An enemy has come and has tried to ruin this. And I just want to go out and want to start pulling weeds. Be no good in my yard. But the yard that's pretty good. It just has weeds here, here, and here. It encourages you to go out and rid it. Pull it up. Pull it out. Make it pristine and good again. This is early on in the harvest. And there is no way that you can take out the bad weeds without harming the good weed. It's a little bit like that beggar weed. Its roots go deep. It spreads far and wide, further than you might expect or know. And just when you think you've got it, you start pulling it out, it starts tearing up everything else. How long, O Lord, are we going to deal with all these messy, rotten, crummy people with their messy, rotten, crummy stuff? How long, O Lord? I'm sick of it, and I'm tired of it. Get rid of them. Fix them. Redeem them. Something. This is the impatience that happens within this particular parable, because we know that it ought to be good, and yet there's something in there that looks to spoil it, and so we want it out. I want my church to be universally good. No crummy people, no bad attitudes, no bad actions. The world, my neighborhood, our schools, whatever it might be. Yank the bad element out. Get rid of the people who cause harm, trouble, and difficulty. Lord, why won't you fix it? Why won't you stop these terrible things from happening with these terrible people from seeming like they can't be stopped? In a world that ought to be pristine and good, there are weeds. There are weeds. Why don't you pull them out? Lord, in my life, there are weeds. Stuff that I don't want to keep doing, and I keep doing. Pull it out. Stuff that I want to be better, and I just can't get over the hump. Things that ought to be good, and a harvest that ought to be full. But even in my own heart, I see weeds. And I try to pull and I try to yank, and it hurts and it messes other stuff up, and I can't seem to get them all, because when I pull out more, I see 4 more. Won't you pull out the weeds, please? Pull out the weeds in the world. Pull out the weeds in my neighborhood, in my family, in my church, in our schools. Pull out the weeds in my heart. Pull it out of my soul. Pull it out of my life. Make it good like it's supposed to be. The parable preaches forbearance, and the parable preaches hope. Preaches hope. To be patient within that hope. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth compared with the glory that will be revealed in us. The suffering does exist, but when we compare them to that which we hope, the difficulties, the pain, the weaknesses, the sufferings, even the weeds in the world and the weeds in our lives, they do not compare to the glory of God that shall be revealed. And like the rest of creation, we're frustrated and we groan. We want it to be right. We want it to be fixed. We want it to be better. We want it to be good. How much longer? How many more weeks? How much more trouble? How much more work? How much more time? Please, Lord, make it right. And yet, it is in this hope for which we groan that we have been saved. This is how Paul finishes the reading that we just had. Hope that is seen as no hope at all. Who hopes for what he already has? But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently, which is the message within Christ's parable as well. For as the Lord tarries, so he is patient. Patient with his creation, patient with us, his creature. Lord, fix it. Lord, make it right. Lord, pull those weeds. When he abstains, when he withholds, when he pauses, it is patience born of love. It says there may be a fire in store for the weeds, but as of now, let them grow. There might be destruction in store for that which would spoil, but as of now, let it go. Too much pain, too much suffering, too much difficulty and hurt to yank and to pull, like the beggar weed whose roots are longer and deeper and broader than we could understand or imagine. To just have him pull out causes things that we couldn't anticipate and that we would not know until too late. It is patience that he has with his world and patience that he has with us. That we all might know that hope, that we who groan for things to be right might be patient in him, hoping, knowing that his promises are good and true and secure. And we've spoken about that before, that hope as a theological concept is not a wish, but it means something relatively precise. It means trust in the Lord's promises that we do not currently possess, but we know and understand shall come to pass, for his will shall be done. I don't have it, so I hope for it because I'm not yet in possession, but I trust that it will happen, for it is a promise of God, and God keeps his promises. That's why we can have forbearance. Forbearance, that virtue, quality of the will, related to our fortitude, our strength. To say, I can be patient and I can wait. I don't want to, and it's not easy, and it's frustrating, and it's hard. That 90% of weed that my lawn is made of, I just get to look at it these days. It's too tall currently for me to cut. Having trouble, mowing lawns is difficult. And when it's extra tall and it's extra thick, I can do even less. And so I look at it and I stew. I just heard from the physical therapist. You'll get it all back. It'll be okay. How long? Oh, don't worry about it. About a year. I don't want to be that patient. It's hard. It frustrates me. It upsets me. And kind of scares me. Yet, if I trust in the word of this therapist, the doctors, the surgeon, if I trust that the Lord is not done with my physical body yet, and there may be still things that I can do and I can give with my children, with the children of the parish, with the children of martial arts or scouts or whatever it might be, that day, though it feels so far away, will come, then I can be patient, for even the present suffering does not compare. It's not worth throwing up our hands and saying, I give up, I quit, forget it. Just as the Lord tarried on his judgment is patience born of love, so our forbearance, both of the world still being screwed up and not yet being fixed, and ourselves being screwed up and not yet being fully redeemed, we can be patient out of hope that the Lord has made a promise, that this creation will be redeemed. Our lives, body, mind, and soul, will be redeemed. And even though we suffer, even though we struggle, even in weakness and foolishness and anger and even still in sin, there are weeds in this world and in our hearts. That is not the end. And we might have hope. So patience. Forbear not just because it's good for us. Forbear not just because we don't have many other good options. Forbear because we trust God. We trust His character. His promises. We trust His power, that He can really do it. We trust because we hope, even though we do not possess it, even though we may not feel fully redeemed, fully healed, fully capable or strong. That our story does not end there, but ends with Him in a brand new beginning. Not in a fire, not in a grave, not weeping or gnashing of teeth, but shining like the sun in the kingdom of the Father. No matter how hard or weak or broken or full of weeds this world or our lives seem to be, that is our hope. So forbear, for our hope is in God Himself. And He can and He will keep His promises.